Hello and welcome to Eavesdropping at the Movies. I'm Mike.
And I'm José.
And we've just come back from Birds of Prey.
Which I have just been shocked because, you know, we have a practice of not looking at reviews. But actually, just when I was looking for the IMDb or Wikipedia page, just to try and remember some of the names of the people involved, you're seeing all these glowing reviews. And I must say, I think it's the worst film I've seen all year. I was enduring it. I was kind of hating it almost every moment, really. I kind of, you see what the film is trying to do. It's a multiracial cast. It's an all-woman cast. It's done as a kind of a patriarchal thing. But it's completely tone-deaf and ugly, and the action sequences don't work.
Give me what you think about it being tone-deaf. Because that's not a word I would say it's got no tonal ability or agility or sense, but tone-deaf?
Tone-deaf, by that I mean that you could see what they're trying to do, for example, with the Ewan McGregor character. Yeah, that it's meant to have like this quirky sense of humor. The things are meant to be funny in a kind of an exaggerated, gross, turntable way, turning things upside down. Yeah, and it just doesn't work.
But what I would associate with the word tone-deaf would be tasteless. Do you think it's tasteless? Because that's not
no.
so
To me, tasteless means something different than tone deaf. Yeah. Tasteless means that's got no taste. Yeah, or that it's gross.
Yeah.
Tone deaf means that this is a film that's relying on a particular type of humor, and the film is not achieving it.
Yeah.
Right. But you could see that it's trying to, and it's working. The scenes proceed as if it's achieved it, but it just hasn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's why
I agree with that. It comes to points where it's obvious that a joke is being made and it just dies.
Falls flat, So I think it's tone deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean by it.
Yeah.
And I found it painful to watch. I thought it was like an endurance test for me, right? Like I think if I hadn't been with you, I probably would have walked out, which I would have regretted because I think the extent of the film's feminist project, if one can call it that, didn't reveal itself to me until the end.
Where they all team up?
When they all team up and it's an all-woman thing against, the corrupt, violent patriarchy, right? But it's so badly done, I just kind of can't get behind it.
It has no sense of style or tone, I suppose, as you say. Like, there were moments that made me laugh. I quite like the thing with the sandwich early on, and her whole thing in that police chase is that she wants a sandwich, and then they have that slow motion shot where she loses her sandwich and it's tragic. I quite like that. There were bits and pieces that kind of worked on me, and actually there was a long take shot early on where you're introduced to the crossbow killer, the Huntress character,
yes.
And the scene is of a group of people she's killed. And in this single take, it goes back and forth between the police officer looking over the scene and the actual scene in progress when she was killing them, which I thought was quite effective. Maybe this is all very early on, so I thought maybe there'll be something to this, and it all falls very flat very quickly.
It's a real problem because Margot Robbie's quite wonderful in a way, I think, actually. Like, if she had been doing exactly the same thing, but for another director, it would have been brilliant. I mean, she herself is wonderful, I think. And the same with Ewan McGregor. I think he's giving a really good performance. But he's giving it in a context where it falls flat. Like, he's giving it in a vacuum, right? So kind of nothing seems to work. I think the film really lets down those performers, really. In another film, the same performances would have been, much more effective, much more brilliant, much more delightful. She's very charismatic, she's a real star, but actually I think she's let down. I think some of the costumes that she wears are so unattractive and so ill-fitting, and so even on that level I think it's kind of terrible. And then to have Rosie Perez, I think I nudged you or something. As soon as I saw her face, I thought, ooh, Rosie Perez, I love her, right? To have, like, the fantastic Rosie Perez in a film and not give her a single joke or a single funny moment or a single bit of humor, right? Which is, what everyone expects of her and what she's so great at achieving is almost a crime. And actually, I think the casting is so poor. There's not a single memorable bit or a single memorable supporting character. Actually, even some of the starring parts.
Yeah.
You think, is that the best casting you could have done for the Black Canary or the Huntress?
It's unimaginative at best. And I also think the director doesn't have any ability to work with actors. I don't think she can get effects out of them that you would want.
No.
And whatever Margot Robbie is bringing to it is stuff that she already brought to Suicide Squad.
Yes.
That was kind of pre-existing in the character. Whatever Ewan McGregor's bringing to it is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an imaginative spark in it, really.
No.
In his performance.
The fight scenes were terrible. Yeah. All the action scenes were terrible. They just lacked imagination.
I quite liked... No, I would disagree with two of those. I quite like the fight with the baseball bat, which was set to Black Betty. It's partly the music does the work for you, but I was tapping along to that. I quite liked that. Some of the choreography there worked for me.
Well, I hated it. The thing about the music is it had brilliant songs that everybody loves, but there was something weird about the sound work in the film. It's almost like the music was too low, and then it was overlaid with all these layers of noise, right? Yeah. It was just dreadful.
And the other one I would say I liked is the roller skate chase on the bike. Some of that stuff worked quite well for me, and I think it was quite fitting as well. The thing about the roller skates, and I suppose it goes with Harley Quinn's costuming in that as well, with those kind of gold trousers. That worked for me. There was something that just felt.
I hated it.
It felt like it hit the right tone at that point.
I hated it, but there was, and one thing made me hate it even more because there's quite a good bit in that, which is when. She's in the front of the car on her roller skates, and then she does this backflip onto the car, right? And you think, here's this tiny bit of beautiful movement, right? The film could have been full of this type of thing, of physical agility and grace and elegance and power. Nothing. Right? And actually that moment where you see a bit of that makes you realize how empty the rest of the film is of it.
Well, quite, but that moment is also what I'm picking up on to say that this is a thing that I liked. I mean, when I came out of the film, I was thinking, obviously, we're both not going to like this. But I was thinking, maybe I'll try and think of things that I did like.
Because you're a generous soul.
And there are some. And I really wasn't expecting, as you weren't, the reviews to be any good. I mean, that was a surprise to me too when you discovered that. And I looked up, it was 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Bizarre.
It's a 0.
So I was thinking, obviously there are things about this people like, and I don't know why. Because, I mean, it's worse, I think, than Suicide Squad, and that was terrible. Although you liked
I kind of liked Suicide Squad, yeah.
What did you like about Suicide Squad?
Oh, I just thought it was fun, and it looked great. And actually I thought, it was kind of funny. It worked on me. And the action sequences, they weren't brilliant. I don't remember any of them vividly. But actually, I also don't remember thinking anything was actively bad. Whereas in this one, I thought it was actively bad. It was. You saw all these things not working. And I don't think it's just that they're not working on me. I think actually they're poorly done.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You said it was ugly.
Yes, I do.
There were moments that I did. Again, these are just moments, but there were moments that I thought had some visual style, some visual beauty, even.
Like what?
Like the shot of the kind of the crane shot that descends into the amusement park at the end. That's kind of decrepit and foggy. That. I quite like that. I thought that looked nice. The shot of Harley Quinn emerging from that pink and blue smoke is pretty obvious, but there was something nice about it. I did have a problem in that shots like that, and actually so many of the shots in the film seem to have this aesthetic attitude of will this look good in the trailer?
Okay.
They had that.
But worse than that, because that whole funhouse sequence, right? The first thing you think of is Orson Welles, right? The lady from Shanghai. And this is so poor.
Well, the first thing I thought of was the Killing Joke, the Alan Moore comic, which was a Batman versus Joker comic where Joker takes him through a funhouse carnival of horror sort of thing, and that had incredible visual style on the page,
Yeah.
and this doesn't have any of that here. So no, I'm not talking about the whole sequence, God no, but just that single shot descending down. I thought, oh, that looks quite creepy and cool.
Okay, well,
like I say, it's a moment. All of it was moments.
Yeah, I thought it was like, abysmal. I really did. I mean, I think I'm quite generous. Like it doesn't take much for me to enjoy a film. I can go for a performance or a look or an action sequence, but this, just the heart sank, and I'm actually trying to ask myself, is it related to its politics? Is the fact that it's so kind of evidently and obviously trying to be woke, something that I'm having trouble swallowing, or does it make the film worse for me? And I'm not sure. I don't think so necessarily. I mean, so for example, it's great that they have like a multiracial cast, yeah? I mean, but couldn't they have cast better, Couldn't you have more starry presences or actors who were more alive and energetic and, graceful, or who brought more to the parts? I mean, the woman who plays the Huntress is like completely charisma free,
That's what's her name? That's she's a star. What's her name? Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, well, she was not a star in this part for me.
No, I agree.
And then also, you see, for me, and this might be a generational thing, the Black Canary is like this film noir figure. In the comics, she was always blonde, and she had an affair with the Green Arrow, and like this, film noir kind of affair. Yeah, they split up. They so I was thinking, is it bothering me that it's kind of cast black? And I was thinking, no, really. Like I don't. That's never been a problem for me. I just think that the qualities that you associate with the Black Canary, which the film goes for, right? They have her singing in a nightclub and so on, but you don't have like this slinky sexual.
Right.
And okay, maybe they don't want a slinky sexual presence, but what have they replaced it with? So I just.
Well, what have they replaced it with? I mean, the answer to that question is not a lot, really. She's a kind of a fighty woman, and she will stand up for other women. She stands up for Harley Quinn, but she's a bit of a blank, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and they're all blanks, actually. It's so bad.
It's all in the execution for me, I think, because there is some conceptualization, as you say, of a kind of feminist project here. So, connecting these 5 women, basically, connecting some of them is this patriarchal kind of background. So, Harley Quinn starts off having broken up from the Joker.
Yes.
But she hasn't told anyone because in navigating Gotham City, she finds that she can get away with anything because people still think that Joker is protecting her.
Yes.
So she hasn't told anyone. Everyone's scared of him, not her. The cop, played by Rosie Perez, there's always a thing about how she's a very good detective, but she was looked over for a promotion because her male colleague got the credit, he got the promotion. It happens again at the end. So she is fighting this patriarchal system. I don't think you get any sense of this with the little kid, she's surviving in a patriarchal world.
Well, but you kind of see, you do hear her father beating up her mother as she's waiting by the stairs, don't you?
Yes.
So
there's an
that
element.
Yeah.
But that's
quite a powerful element.
Yeah, maybe.
Fitting in with your theme. I mean,
this is what I was thinking about. Like, it kind of does, but also in her day-to-day life, like, I don't think you see any of this. She's just getting on pickpocketing. She's getting on pickpocketing because, she lives in an abusive family where her father beats up her mother, or some man is beating up her mother. It's fair. I felt it could have been stronger, but it is.
Yeah, okay. We agree on that element. It's like, it's nothing, but it does tie in what all these women have in common.
Yeah, the Black Canary. As you say, singer in Black Mask's nightclub, and he, generally speaking, is abusive, enjoys his power, uses his power over women in awful ways, but also his power over men. But you do see it specifically in the context of what he does to women.
It's gendered, yeah. He gets off on terrorizing women in a sexual way.
Yeah, when he makes the woman
which is
dance
about
and
power.
strip.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
But actually, none of that. I mean, even that isn't very well done. I mean, I was kind of cringing at the way that it was done, rather than cringing at what was happening.
This is exactly what I'm saying. It all comes down to the execution, because the idea is there, and the other one, the Mary Elizabeth Winstead character, the Huntress, it's weakest with her. She has a personal vendetta against the men who killed her family, and they are men, but it's not a gendered thing. It's about that diamond and money.
Yeah,
that's what that comes down to. So I don't think that's really a part of it.
I mean, she's a mafia princess, so.
But when they're in that helter skelter, whatever it is at the end, and they realise we've got to work together because they're going to kill us all. You feel like if this has been done properly, if we've had the background really executed well, then this is going to feel like a moment where they are fighting not just for themselves and for their lives, but for an ideology. That's kind of what this should be heading towards when they all team up. That's what this should feel like. It should feel triumphant in some way. And it really doesn't at all. And I think it's partly that it hasn't put in enough of the work. And I think it's also that I think Margot Robbie actually really ruins that particular scene by pitching in with funny little asides and all the rest of it.
Yeah, but that's not Margot Robbie.
Well, no, it's not. No, I mean, but Harley Quinn then ruins the scene.
Well, it's the way that it's written and directed that ruins the scene.
That's what I mean. But so like it obviously is trying to build this kind of framework of patriarchal subjugation and breaking out of it and all that kind of thing. But it's at best half baked.
Yeah,
I think that's putting it quite generously.
Yes, it's underbaked. I think it's the worst film I've seen all year.
Yeah, and I wish it was better.
Yes,
I mean it should be full of. I mean, I didn't have high expectations because I didn't like Suicide Squad. I didn't like the look of this from the trailers. But I mean, even so, you think, why is it so bland?
Yes, it's so heavy-handed and tone-deaf and rhythmically. Well, it has the opposite of rhythm. It's kind of, the action scenes don't flow. The stunt concept don't work for me. So that bit where she goes in with this huge bullet type thing, and one of them throws glitter and the other one throws,
other beanbags.
Kind of, it could have been marvelous, kind of the concept could allow for it to be marvelous. I mean, they could have done something visually with all the glitter, but they don't. So she throws glitter and, socks a cop in the eye and he falls. I mean, it's really like a visually nothing, really. And
also, it jumps back and forth at that point, because at that point, she goes into the police station looking for this girl, and she's got the gun and the beanbags, and she starts blowing stuff up and shooting people. But you don't actually know why she's there at that point. And I wasn't even sure it was a police station at that point. I was like, so what's going on here? And then, as if to say, we know that we're being incoherent, the film pauses, the voiceover comes in, oh, wait, I need to go back 3 weeks to explain why we got here.
I hate that.
And you go, for God's sake. You know what I mean? You're going, well, why can't you just tell me the story in order?
Yeah. Because actually, the backtracking didn't do anything.
No.
So it wasn't as if it was changing the preconception that you already had.
I think it's trying to be like, this is how a crazy woman would tell her story. It's trying to put you, I think, inside the kind of way that Harley Quinn thinks. And it just doesn't...
It doesn't work.
Yeah. And if she thinks kind of incoherently, well, I suppose it works because the film is incoherent.
Yeah, but that's not...
it doesn't have a good effect.
No. Okay, shall we wrap this up? I mean, you can only beat a dead horse for so long.
Yeah, it's very, very bad.
Yes. It's the worst thing I've seen this year, so...
As in since January 1st or since February last year?
I was thinking like for the whole of the last year. I mean... I'm sure you'll correct me and, remember that there were times when I felt worse in the cinema. I mean,
I'm not sure that did, to be fair. I think you probably bang on.
Yeah.
Do you think he had a worse time than he did in Bombshell the other week?
Oh, yes. No, this was much worse, yeah.
Okay. Jojo Rabbit you didn't like, but I can't imagine
but Jojo Rabbit is, a million times superior to this.
Yeah. Maleficent 2, Mistress of Evil?
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed quite a bit of that, actually. though it wasn't good either.
Neither Wolf Nor Dog.
Which one was that?
That was the American Indian story.
That was pretty bad.
But
that at least had the excuse of being so low budget and practically homemade. This has no such excuse.
That's true. This cost $85 million.
So
Yeah. And we've seen some other stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, it's about as bad as it gets. Yeah. So yeah, I can't recommend anyone sees it.
No.
Rubbish.
So
even if you like Suicide Squad, it turns out it's rubbish.
yes. I think so.
And you were going against the grain there, you iconoclast.
Well, I got my comeuppance with this one. Thank you very much for listening. We are eavesdropping at the movies, and we are on
Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Spotify. On social media, we're on Facebook and Twitter. Yes. And the website is eavesdroppingatthemovies.com. And we're going to see much better films soon, I'm sure.
Yes. They can't all be great.